Lesson 31, I can add mixed numbers. Please open up to page 63 in your problem set book and follow along with the video. For 1A, the problem has you adding 3 1/3 plus 2 2/3. As you remember from yesterday's lesson, we need to add like terms when we're adding fractions and mixed numbers. So we're going to start by decomposing our fractions into their whole number and their fraction. So 3 1/3, we're going to pull out our whole number of 3 and our fraction of 1/3. For 2 2/3, we're going to pull out our whole number of 2 and our fraction of 2/3. Now we can add together our whole numbers, 3 plus 2, to get 5, and our fractions, 1/3 and 2/3, to get 3/3. We put those together to get 5 3/3. We know that 3/3 is equal to 1 whole because our numerator and denominator are the same. So now we have to take 5 plus 1 to get our answer of 6. For B, we have 4 1/4 plus 3 2/4. So once again, I'm going to pull apart my whole number and my fraction, and then I'm going to add together my whole numbers and then add together my fractions. So we'll start with the whole number. We'll do 4 plus 3 equals 7. And now we'll add together our fractions. 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. Then we'll put it all together to get 7 3/4. For C, we have 2 2/6 and 6 4/6. So my first step, I'm going to break them down, pull apart the whole number and the fraction, and then I can add my like terms. So I'll start with my whole numbers. 2 plus 6 equals 8. And then my fractions, 2/6 plus 4/6 equals 6/6. So when I put it all together, I get 8 6/6. Now we know that 6/6 is the same as 1 whole. So we would break that down to 8 plus 1 to get our final answer of 9. For 2, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use a number line to show our work. So you can see that we're starting with 2 4/5 and 1 2/5. I'm going to start the same way by breaking down my mixed numbers into their whole number and their fraction. And then I'm going to add together my whole numbers. 2 plus 1 equals 3, and 4/5 plus 2/5 equals 6/5. Now, I'm going to decompose my improper fraction to 5/5 and 1/5. So now I have 1 1/5. From my whole number, I started with the number 3. So I'm going to start at the number 3 on my number line. Then I go 5/5, so I'm going to move ahead 1 whole to 4, and then I still have my 1/5 left over, so I move 1/5 to end up at 4 1/5. Now you can see that we have 1 3/4 plus 3 3/4. I start by breaking down my mixed number into the whole number and the fraction, and I add my whole numbers. 1 plus 3 is 4, and then I add my fractions. 3/4 plus 3/4 equals 6/4. So now I'm going to plot this on the number line. Before I do that, I'm going to break down my 6/4 into 4/4 and 2/4. So now I'm going to start at 4 because that's what my whole number is, and then I'll move 4/4, so I'm going to break my number line down even further into fourths for each section. So now I'm going to count ahead 4/4, which will take me to 5, and then I have 2/4 left over. So I jump forward 2 more, and you can see that I end up at 5 2/4, which your brain should have signaled I need to simplify. So you would simplify that to 5 1/2. For the next problem, we're going to be solving 3 3/8 plus 2 6/8. So I start by breaking apart my mixed numbers into their whole number and their fraction. I add together my whole numbers, 3 plus 2 equals 5, and I add together my fractions, 3/8 plus 6/8 equals 9/8. So now I'm going to break down my improper fraction into 8/8 and 1/8. 1/8, and then I'm going to model this on the number line. So I'm going to start with the number 5 because that's my whole number, and then I'm going to jump ahead one whole because we have 8/8. And then I have 1/8 left over. So I'm going to break down my number line into eighths between 6 and 7. And then I'm going to jump ahead 1/8, which would put us at 6 1/8. Now we're going to solve using the strategy that we learned in our last lesson about using the arrow strategy to make one whole. So if we had 2 4/6 plus 1 5/6, we're going to start by adding our whole numbers together. So we're going to take our whole number of 2 and 1 and add those together to get 3. And then you can see that we have 3 4/6 plus just 5/6 because we brought our 1 over to the other side. Now what you have left is a problem that looks like what we were solving in the last lesson. We have a mixed number plus a fraction. So if we have 3 4/6, we have to ask ourselves, how many more 6 do I need to make one whole? And we know that that is 2 6. So I'm going to pull 2 6 out and cross it off. And then my 3 4/6 is going to become 3 6/6 or 4. Now I have to look at what's left from my fraction. So if I pulled out 2 6, I know that I have 3 6 left. So I have 4 3/6 or 4 1/2. Now we have 1 3/4 plus 3 3/4. So I'm going to add my mixed numbers together by bringing my 3 over to the other side. So I'll do 3 plus 1 equals 4. And then my fraction stays the same. I have 4 3/4 plus just plain 3/4 because I brought my whole number over to the other side. So now I have 4 3/4 plus 3/4. So now I have to ask myself, how many more fourths do I need to make one whole if I have 3/4? And that would be 1/4. So I'm going to pull 1/4 out from over here and cross it off. And now I have 4 4/4 over here, or 5. Then I have to look at what I have left from my fraction. So if I pulled 1/4 out from 3/4, I would have 2/4 left. So when I put them together, I have 5 2/4, which would simplify to 5 1/2. Now I have 3 3/8 plus 2 6/8. So I start by combining my mixed numbers. So I'm going to bring my 2 over to the other side. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then I have 5 3/8 plus 6/8. So I'm going to start by asking myself, how many more eighths would I need to add to 3/8 to equal one whole? And we would need 5 more eighths. So we're going to pull those 5/8 out from our fraction and cross it off. And then now I have 5 8/8 or 6. Now I have to see what's left from my fraction. So if I pulled 5/8 out from 6/8, I have 1/8 left. And when I put those together, I get 6 1/8. Please complete number 4 independently using whichever method you prefer. Pause the video now and push play to check your work when you are done. I will be checking your workbooks to make sure that you showed your work. For 4A, you should have gotten 5 2/5. For 4B, 6 5/8. And for 4C, 6 1/4 after simplifying.